Hey, ladies. We are technically in week 9 together, so we got a few more weeks. I think another three or four more weeks together. So the 90 days is going by fast, and we have gone through a lot of material together. Whether it's giving you resources, talking about why diets don't work. We want to get away from the dieting mentality. We've looked at healthy habits. We've looked at how to combine our foods, how to eat our food, and how those two things together, and even the quality of our food, those three things together really make the great combo and is a great solution for weight loss. So some other things that we have talked about, I'm going to look at a cheat sheet real quick, are mindful eating and portion control. So we've talked about the 20-minute meal. Tell me what you think of that. So taking 20 minutes to eat a meal, and to be honest with you, if you don't take the full 20 minutes to actually eat it, to physically eat it, that's okay, but maybe set a timer. It takes you 10 minutes. And then I want you to maybe go ahead and wait the full 20 minutes till you are hungry, or to see if you're hungry. And so allow your mind and your body to kind of catch up to each other. And that might be a great way to kind of portion out your foods. It might be a great way to see that, hey, maybe I don't need as much food. And so I've had clients do that, and by doing that, they essentially have lost weight. They've lost pant sizes off their body. So it's pretty neat. So and so we've had some guest experts. We've talked about hormonal change or hormonal balancing. We've talked about stretching, mobility. I'm going to have a EFT coach, an emotional freedom technique coach come on, and then I've got someone coming to speak on the importance of exercise and strength training. So and then what was the other thing we've talked about? Oh, we've talked about plant-based nutrition. So those are just a few things that we've talked about. There's a lot of things when we've looked at dieting that we're going away from our thoughts around knowing that we have to be super strict and things like that. And so there's honestly a lot of great ways to eat. And I want you to know that, and know that we're looking at what works well for your body. And so we're building onto this. We're building into this, we're building into you exploring this. We're building into you looking into seeing what works well for you. I mean, there's literally probably, 100 great, plans out there, meaning scientifically proven, I hate to say diets, but eating plans that work really well, meaning just ends up coming down to the timing of when we eat. We look at when we look at the type of protein, whether or not it's vegetarian, whether or not it's going to be meat, or things like that. So it's going to come down to the source and a lot of times the timing. And so there's a lot of proven eating plans out there. And sometimes what we may do is we might find, we might take some nuggets, a little bit of nuggets from each one of, maybe different plans, and maybe take something from that. So that's okay. And so some people will choose a vegetarian vegan option or gluten-free option because of medical reasons or personal reasons, whatever it is. Those are all great. And so I'm not saying there's a one or right way or wrong way. And there's some different ways. So I'm hoping that you're walking away seeing that what we want to do is I want you to learn that balancing your meals, when you're balancing your meals with a protein, carbohydrate, and a healthy fat, where we combine our meals and put them together and we do a well-balanced meal, that's the physical component to this. And we want to, when you're doing that, you're allowing your body to be sustained and have sustainability, and you're not having these high lows with sugar and things like that. And so your body's able to absorb the food well, and things like that. And that's the mechanical, physical part to that. And then a lot of times, have you ever heard the feminine and masculine side of things? That's the masculine side. That's the mechanical side. But then we have the mindset piece of that too. And so in this program, if you're not already noticing, we're looking at the physical components, and we're looking at the emotional components, and we're looking at building healthy habits along the way with all this. And so the emotional piece of that, so when we look at this, we're looking at emotional transformation, we're looking at the internal side of things, and then we're looking at the physical component, because when you look at the physical, those two things are going to allow you to kind of have that sustainable weight loss. So a lot of times what happens is we focus so much on the physical part of it, where we're cutting out calories or this or that we dismiss the emotional piece of it, and it ends up being a very short-term piece, because we either don't identify with why we're doing it, or it's a very short term. We get so hunkered in on the physical aspect, and we restrict so much, we get very short-termed in our thinking, and it ends up being kind of a flop. So we're doing is we're making small changes, right? I'm just reiterating and reminding you what we're doing. We're making very small changes. We're looking at doing better. You know, if you're you know, at a place right now, maybe you go out to eat, or maybe chips or something you have, or soda, we want to make go just one step closer and start making some better choices in there. So we don't have to necessarily, if you're not eating organic, non-GMO stuff, that's okay. But I want to educate you on those foods and educate you around that. And so we're striving for better, okay? We're not perfection, but going for better. And so according to the calendar, we've got daily movement and exercise as our topic. So I'm actually going to change it up, and we're going to do mindset today. So I actually have a friend of mine who's a trainer, who actually has her own online business as a trainer, and I'm going to have her speak. It's actually a different lady with the video that I've posted for you, but I'm going to have her speak to the group about the importance of exercise, and the importance of doing strength training. So I will say this to you, okay? And I'm sure you maybe have heard this, but I will be a testament to you this summer. I have, as you know, at least if you're in the group currently now, if you're listening to this recording, I've actually have gone through a knee injury at the very beginning of the summer. And so I've actually, I live in Denver, Colorado, but I'm staying in Houston, and I've been here for 3 months, 3.5 months by the time I go. I'm leaving in a couple days. So my focus, I've actually had surgery. I've been in physical therapy, and I'm just now kind of getting back into the swing. Not by no means not 100%, but I'm back into the swing of things where I can walk and do some exercises. But I've really been, you know, on my couch a good part of this recovering. And so I've not really been able to exercise. And so I will point this out, because my focus has been a couple things. One, it's been I'm going to eat well-balanced meals. That's really why am I doing that? My why for that is because I want to heal quicker, and I want to heal well, and I want to take care of my body, especially during this recovery process. Your body goes through a lot when it's been injured. It goes through a lot when you've had surgery. It doesn't matter what kind of surgery. It just, you're having to recover. And so the foods we eat makes a big is a big part of how we're going to heal. And so I really focus a lot on, hey, I know I'm not going to exercise, so I really got to really tune into how much I'm going to eat, but then I'm also going to make sure I'm really, for the sake of healing wise, I'm going to make sure I'm balancing my meals. And so so I'm saying this because there's so much of a factor. There's so much of, you know, a fear around, hey, you know, if I'm injured my foot or knee or whatever, and I'm unable to, you know, I'm going to gain weight or whatever. I will tell you right now, I've lost about 10, 12 pounds over the summer, and just because I really have, again, been focusing on what I've been eating. I've been eating 3 well-balanced meals. You know, maybe some of those days I've had some snacks. It just kind of depends. I haven't moved around as much. And I've honestly focused on building my business and some course material and things like that. And so I've expanded my mind, and my mind has been entertained by that. So I wanted to point that out. I'm not going to go in great detail more than that, but today we're going to talk about mindset, okay? And so I want to talk about this because our mindset around weight loss alone can have a factor of not only how we think about ourselves, right? You know, and even if we're just talking weight loss or not, but even how we think or how we talk about ourselves internally has a huge factor of how we're going to play out our day. So, so that's why I want to talk a little bit about some things around this and how we want to shift our minds around this. So, you know, if we look at dieting, we look at weight loss, you know, and things like that. So we really want to look and make sure we're in a the right place. And sometimes, honestly, we build into that also, and know that even if you've come into a place where you jumped in this program and maybe your mindset has not been the greatest, meaning you're beating yourself up or you're saying bad, negative things about yourself, we can shift those things around. And I want to encourage you to do that. So shifting your mindset, even around weight loss, can have a big factor in your own weight loss. Okay. So that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. Okay. So some things I want you to do is if you're kind of beating yourself up, talking, having this mindset, of beating yourself up, let's start to shift that around. So one thing is, if you're in a place where you're like, I'm wanting to fix myself, or you're jumping into the next diet or exercise plan, looking to just kind of, deprive yourself of calories and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of poking at yourself, you lose sight of the sustainability pretty quick, because you're kind of doing this fast, quick weight loss type thing. And so I want you to go away from that, and I want you to start thinking differently. So one of those things I want you to do is, and that's one of the things that can be great about a group, or it can be great about hiring, someone like myself, or if you've hired a personal trainer or whatever that is, but surround yourself with people that are positive. Okay. So, when you do that, you can change kind of your thought process and your attitude, okay? So start to surround yourself, again, with people, whether or not you have a support group and a group setting, whether or not you have your own support group, whether or not it's a friend or a few friends within, your own town, and things like that. Having these Facebook groups a lot of times can be great and a good positive environment. So I want to kind of point that out, is when you're doing that, you're surrounding yourself with people that are really supporting you, and support is huge. So your goals, from the get-go from all this, I've been talking to you guys about, really setting some small attainable goals. And, as I just said a few minutes ago, I really want us to start looking at making some shifts and going just a one step better, or making a few things better. I don't want you to get too stagnant. Honestly, I want you to feel challenged. Okay. So if you're not challenged, then I want to push you some more. Okay. So you need to feel some challenge. If you're in a place where you're walking 10 minutes and you need to be doing more than that, let's bump it up. Okay. Let's bump it up. And I want you to feel challenged physically, and I want you to start feeling challenged emotionally. Not to say you got to go crazy, but I want you to know that what needs to be kind of pushed in that. And if we need to talk through those, let's talk through them. So your goals at the beginning of when you're on a weight loss journey are going to look different at the end. You're at the beginning, it's going to look different in the middle. So we're only a couple months into this, okay? So we're still kind of in the beginning, and you might still be in a place where you're like, hey, maybe I've taken a step or two up. And that's great. That's awesome. So keep doing that, okay? So start rethinking kind of your reward and punishment system. If we start thinking of, I'm going to be using kind of food as my reward system at the beginning phases, maybe that can be a great place to kind of keep you motivated and stuff like that. But I want us to start to kind of go away from that a little bit. I actually was having a conversation, a few days ago, with a one-on-one client, private client, and she, was talking about, she's kind of in the beginning phases and really not ready to give up soda yet, and altogether, meaning she feels like a couple days a week, and that's okay right now. I'm not going to necessarily promote having soda, saying it's great. However, I do think I got to meet you where you are, and I think that is, and that's very okay. If having a couple sodas right now is where you are, that's okay. You honestly won't be there forever, and you'll honestly find yourself, the more balanced you make your meals, the more you actually will naturally find yourself going away from that. So if you're someone that hops on the scale a lot, maybe, find yourself, depending on how often you do it. I've had, and myself in my own personal life, I have found myself doing it too much, and so I have found myself kind of going away, and probably doing it, if not a couple times a month, sometimes maybe once a week or something like that. And so I used to do it quite a bit more than that. And I think the more we focus on what is wrong with us, the more we focus on the scale, the more that we're focusing on that I can't achieve this, whatever it is, the more we focus on it, that's what our thoughts are going to start to kind of focus more on. So let's kind of go away from that. And I would almost encourage you maybe do less weighing and things like that. I'm not going to say weighing can be fine because it gives us a good direction. But if it starts to kind of be too much of a thought of, your feelings are up or down, up or down, up or down, depending on what the scale says, we want to kind of maybe take a look at that as well. Okay. Talk to yourself like you would a friend, okay? So, and I think I've mentioned this in here before, but like if you're going out to eat, and you're going out to eat with a friend and you're going to say, hey, Susan, where do you want to go out to eat? And she may say, well, I'm up for Mexican food. Okay, that's great. Maybe start doing that with yourself. I know that sounds kind of odd, but start talking to yourself like you would a friend and talk to your body that same way. And believe it or not, I know again that sounds kind of like different and kind of out there, but I think the more we start to talk to ourselves a little kinder, you will notice that your thought process will kind of change a little bit in there too. So, I want us to go away from thinking that good food and bad foods. I mean, there's going to be a time where we are going to maybe go outside of eating, kind of around the balanced meals. And, in all honesty, if you can build up to maybe around an 80-20, and you may not be there yet, you're going to maybe build into that. Right now in your weight loss journey, in all honesty, you might be in a very mechanical place. I know when I was losing weight, I was in a pretty mechanical, and that's okay at the beginning place of that. And I want to continue to encourage you in that, but I don't want you to beat yourself up if you've had some foods that maybe fall out of that a bit. So give yourself permission to do that. Have that glass of wine or that piece of chocolate, every so often and things like that. Because one is it keeps us going and reminds us and helps us not to go kind of on this huge binge and stuff like that. So anyway, so I wanted to point out a few things, and I really want us to start to know that the emotional aspects, and I'm going to go back to one of the assignments from orientation. It had to do with getting unstuck. And so that was one of the first things we've talked about in this. And if you haven't gone through that, strongly encourage you to go through that assignment. And it may not be the funnest assignment, but it's super important, okay? Because it's actually a piece of some of these emotional blocks that kind of hinder us. And those can actually take some time to kind of work through. But this is a part of that piece in there of how we're viewing ourselves. And sometimes these are these emotional, these beliefs that we've believed either about ourselves or about society, they have just kind of been taught to us in some ways, and we believe them for either it could be decades or years or our entire life, as long as we've known. So I just want to encourage you, anything that's around mindset that we've actually gone over, I want you to encourage to kind of work through that. And I want you to encourage you to kind of dig deeper in some of that stuff, because it really is just as important as the physical component to actual weight loss, because what it's going to do is it's going to help you kind of have that sustainable piece. It's not going to be the short-term piece of that. So I hope this is helpful information, and I want you to continue to look at how we can really kind of use each other to support each other in this whole journey together. So feel free to comment below. I'm going to post this in the Facebook group. Go ahead and comment below and let me know what your thoughts are around this. I'm always intrigued to know if this has been helpful for you. So thank you, and I'd love to see you guys in the group, and love to see you on the next group call.